What's up? What's up? What's up? How are we doing today, Noob?
Yo, free agent time. Dude, I'm doing good. I'm ready to predict some free agents, man.
Agents. Oh,
dude, I'm already starting to itch with just like, I need some news.
We need some news.
Some news real bad.
You see that everywhere. That's all I see all over Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, is just
Twitter.
Where's the news? Where's the signings?
The biggest news we have, or the one that I've seen lately, we'll kind of tease Shohei now. Apparently the Braves are intrigued, or Shohei Ohtani is intrigued by playing for the Braves. And I was just like, oh man, I don't know what to do. I'm probably going to get my hopes up. I should probably not get used to this idea. Don't even think about it.
That's kind of the main theme of this free agency I found, is getting your hopes up. Everybody is, you kind of see the two sides. Everybody is just like, there's no way he's coming. They're just glass half full, half empty, I guess. There's no way, no chance we're going to get him. No shot.
No chance.
And then there's the other people who are just like, why wouldn't you? Of course we are. Of course we're going to get him. Let's get our hopes up. We're going to get excited.
It's that meme that it's the crying face wearing the other, like, just mask. That the mask portion is like, oh yeah, there's no way he's coming. And then like the dude crying behind the mask is like the dude getting their hopes up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
That is exactly it. Where should we start here?
Do you want to start at just like the honorable mentions?
Let's start out with some of those random names. Well, actually, I'll start off by saying this. I don't think anything is going to move until Ohtani signs, pitching and hitting. I really don't think there's much. We'll get maybe some tiny ones here and there, but I don't think most guys aren't going to sign, because every team, I think at this point, especially spenders, are just, you got to see if you're in the mix or if you're not doing it, and then you go to your backup plans.
I agree. I think he's like, every team has got to at least meet up with his agents or at least have talks.
Except for the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. He's going to make double their whole entire payroll, coaches included.
Oh, seriously. Okay. Let's start with,
we got first one, Aroldis Chapman,
everybody's favorite player.
I don't know.
Favorite player to hate in the league.
I feel like he goes to a no name. I'm just gonna throw out the White Sox.
The White Sox,
yeah,
because he ended up he started the year for the Royals last year, right? I almost even forget that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it'll be another team kind of like that. I could even see him maybe going back to like the Reds on like kind of a short 1 year deal.
I could actually see that too. That kind of makes sense.
Another team that's probably will end up moving him at the deadline, or like, the Reds might be in the mix next year. That'd be my pick. Somewhere like the Reds. Yeah. Reds, White Sox, kind of those middle of the road teams.
Yeah. Maybe even the Royals. If I'm the Royals, I pick him up. I try to send him away at the deadline. Hopefully he pitches well.
Rinse and repeat. I mean, they got what? They got Cole Reagans? Is that who they got? Or
yeah, he's been shoving. Oh my God.
If you can turn a Chapman contract into something like that, why not?
Imagine having like 2 Cole Reagans in your rotation right now. Like, dude caught fire.
Except, did you see what he did against the Blue Jays this year?
Yes, I did. That was hilarious. What he fell 3 times. I think Pitching Ninja overlaid the 3.
His 3 straight insane wild pitches where he just kept getting worse and like falling more, and then it led to 2 runs.
That's hilarious. Like, what happened?
I don't know.
Okay, next up, CJ Cron. Who needs a first baseman
or a DH?
I could see him maybe going somewhere like the Nationals. Maybe it's kind of a similar situation where they hope he pops off and maybe gets traded at the deadline, brings in some more talent.
How did CJ Cron do this year? Was he still like decent in Colorado? Is that where he was playing? I couldn't even tell you.
I know he got traded to the Angels. He got traded to the Angels, and then they threw him on waivers, like they did with everyone this year. That was kind of a weird situation.
729 OPS, 12 home runs.
Negative 0.5 WAR.
A team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, just some random team that's like, hey, yeah, we could use an extra bat. Somebody who's been around the league. Michael Conforto, where is he going to go play?
I could low-key see him as a Brave. Like, I don't think he played particularly well, but the Braves just declined the option for Eddie Rosario. They do have Vaughn Grissom, who they say they might get some more ABs in left field, but I think I wouldn't mind them picking up Michael Conforto.
He'd be a good fit in Atlanta for sure.
I could honestly see him in Tampa Bay as well. Actually, they always kind of like buy low on dudes, or especially pitchers. Maybe not so much hitters, but
yeah, you never want to be the team trading a pitcher to the Tampa Bay Rays. You never want to be the team giving them someone.
Tampa Bay calls, you hang up the phone.
So being a Braves fan and left field, would you rather have Conforto there or see a guy like Adam Duvall come back, who's kind of next on the list?
Oh man, I love Adam Duvall. Adam Duvall has one of the most memorable home runs ever hit by a Brave. Granted, they lost that game where he hit that grand slam in the first inning of game 5 of the World Series. But he's getting older too. He's like 35, I think, which is not terrible. Like, I'm always leaning towards going with someone a little bit younger.
Something about Adam Duvall to me screams like the LA Angels. He just seems like a guy that would just end up on the Angels.
I could see that.
Bit of a journeyman, but like decent home run power, like what they did when they signed Hunter Renfroe last year. I feel like he would kind of slip into that spot.
Does anyone sign with the Athletics? Is like, do they? A lot of these guys would already be upgrades over everyone in.
Somebody who I had on this list that when I saw his name, I feel like he would end up in Oakland was Kenta Maeda. He feels like an Oakland Athletic to me, like decent, but you haven't really heard much about him lately. I know he's kind of came off an injury too this year, but he just feels like somebody that would kind of end up in Oakland.
I mean, he would be their ace probably. I mean, him and Blackburn.
And then he'd probably get traded at the deadline or halfway through the season for
he's a little bit older too.
For some brutal prospects.
What, he's like 35, 36?
A guy like him or like maybe even James Paxton, kind of like end of his career. Maybe he just takes a 1-year deal somewhere. Again, with a team that might move him at the deadline.
I don't know why. I could just see him in San Francisco, though. That's just like my gut feeling. What's the rotation looking like?
Logan Webb, and then who's after
Alex Cobb, Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison is he's an up-and-comer, 22 years old. He's a lefty. That's someone that maybe could learn a thing or two from Paxton. They're only lefty on the depth chart right now as far as starting rotation goes.
You heard it here. James Paxton, San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, James Paxton, San Francisco Giant. I can't wait to wake up to that news tomorrow morning.
All right. What else do we got here? Mitch Garver. Where's Mitch Garver go? Who's looking for a catcher, backup catcher, DH position kind of guy?
It's hard to imagine him in another team besides the Rangers. I could see him as a Royal. I could see him like him and Salvi just flip-flopping DH and catcher. I know they have MJ Melendez, but he has not really been catching very much. I've seen him play the outfield way more. I don't know. A lot of these just could go a lot of different places. That doesn't make sense, but
yeah, I mean, for these guys, it's like, who knows? They'll end up where they end up. They're not going to be necessarily difference makers. They're kind of those addition pieces.
I agree. Maybe not even starters, just some bench pieces or
like who would start out of this list? I think there's maybe a couple, like a guy like Jock Peterson. I don't think he's really going to be benching it too much. Where's Jock Peterson end up?
Maybe I could see him in the Mets.
I feel like Jock's a really good. He would fit really well on the Jays roster right now. I know we're kind of shifted our focus a little bit more defensive forward. I mean, if he's just kind of in that Brandon Belt role where he's mainly DHing and playing out in the field a little bit here and there, wouldn't be too bad.
The Mets have Marte, Nimmo, Jeff McNeil. They have him on the depth chart as left fielder, but I know he's primarily second baseman. Or do they have Ronnie Mauricio come up and put Jeff McNeil in the outfield? I don't really know. I'm not a Mets dude. Just yell at me if I'm wrong. I know Starling Marte, I don't know if his health is going to be there. He was a negative 0.8 WAR from Starling Marte this past year.
Negative 0.8, really? That's brutal because he was like pretty good.
315 at bats. Yeah, he played. I thought he played maybe like 30 games, but he played half a season. Just a rough year. Like, what do they do with that?
Saying what they're going to they're shooting more for 2025, 2026. But it's also the Mets. Like Steve Cohen goes out and spends money. So
the Mets are kind of in a weird place too. I feel like they're kind of like, they're thinking about trading Pete Alonso.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know
what. Do they get a full rebuild or just retool? I don't know.
I don't think you like a market like that. I don't think you can go full rebuild ever. 2023 was just a brutal year for them, but you got to keep your foot on the gas as far as like trying to put a team together.
Yeah, I agree. They still have some really good pieces that they can build around.
How do you go from having the biggest payroll ever to just like rebuilding and just a
crazy, man?
1 year, the next year? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. They're always a team that's going to be in the mix for a lot of stuff, but who knows?
Yeah. one of the names that pops out here is Clayton Kershaw, not on the top 25 free agents list per MLB.com. That is kind of nuts in my opinion.
How good is Clayton Kershaw? Like, do people?
He is still great. My God, when he's on the mound, he's still so good.
I know he just got like absolutely blown up in the playoffs this year, as per usual.
Yes, that is true.
But is he not arguably like the best pitcher of the last 15 years? Like, he's got number one.
Has to be. I mean, you look at his career numbers. He even lowered his career ERA this year. Like, his career ERA is 2.48. Like, yeah, that's almost insane. 3,000 innings pitched. That is just ridiculous. His ERA was 2.46 this year, 3.7 WAR in 24 starts. He's 35, and I cannot believe that people that I don't know was this 2-3 years ago that people saying he was washed. Well, if he's washed, give me a washed Clayton Kershaw on the Braves, or like you want a washed Clayton Kershaw on your team. That's how good he's been. He's insane.
Sub 2.5 ERA 3 of the last 4 years, like
so good.
So with that being said, can you ever see Clayton Kershaw not being a Dodger? I can't. I know there's talk.
I can't either,
because he's from Texas, that the Rangers would be a fit, and I mean they would be a really good fit for him, but I just don't see it. I don't think he'll ever play for a team that's not the Dodgers.
Yeah, me neither. Like,
if he plays this year, he's going to be a Dodger. It's going to happen. He's going.
I think so too. Like, I think that he even takes like a discounted salary too to play with the Dodgers. I mean, he's been there 15 years. I think he's even thought about retiring. From what I've heard, he was thinking about it or something. Like, who knows?
Salary last year was only 15 million plus a 5 million signing bonus. Like, that's not bad. 20 million for Kershaw, when when guys like
today's market,
Scherzer and Verlander are getting like 42, 43 or whatever.
I feel like there's only one more name on this list, or maybe even two, like Michael Lorenzen and Luis Severino. The only reason I say Luis Severino is just because I think he's a prime candidate to go to the Rays. They fix people.
Just become a Cy Young Severino.
Or even the Dodgers. I could see them taking a flyer on him because, I mean, it's the Dodgers. They can just throw some money around. And
Lorenzen too is like sounds like a Dodgers. Like either of those guys, or Lorenzen too. Like, maybe, I'm not sure who's all coming back from. Maybe a team like the Houston Astros.
I think he could be an Angel again next year. I feel like he could help them a little bit. They need pitching so bad. I mean, what was it last year that they drafted nothing but pitchers?
Yeah, they need everything. The Angels,
they really do, actually.
Especially since they're more than likely losing their best player and potentially trading their other best player. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Should we just jump to the top 25?
Let's do it. Top 25. Number 25, outfielder Harrison
Bader. Pretty rough year this past year, eh?
I don't think Harrison Bader is very good. I think there's better players who weren't in the top 25. Like, he's defensively well. I don't think he's like that. He went on a crazy heater when he got traded to the Yankees in the playoffs in the 2022. But I don't really think he's that good. He's fast.
I don't either. I would have put Duvall up higher than Bader, if we're being honest. If we're considering everything.
There were a lot of people on the Jays that thought we should have traded for him at the deadline last year, and I was like, he's not really gonna bring that much. Like, we need a bat, not another defensive outfielder. So, MLB has potential fits of the Cubs, Nationals, Giants. I mean, Washington seems like a really good fit for a guy like him.
Who do they have in their outfield right now?
Well, they just got rid of Robles, didn't they? Robles?
Did they?
Yeah.
I did not know that. He did not pan out whatsoever. Wow.
Or maybe if Michael A. Taylor leaves the Twins, then maybe a team like the Twins would pick up a guy like Harrison Bader.
They could use some outfield depth. I don't know. Does he start? Is he a starter anywhere? Maybe for someone like the Nationals or Oakland, he would start for sure.
I don't think anybody's going to sign him to be a backup.
That's true. I don't think so either.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Nah. Hunter Renfroe up next. He kind of had a disappointing year as well. I had him on my fantasy team. He didn't really do well for me. I thought he was going to be pretty decent. He did pretty awful. 20 home runs and almost 500 ABs. 233 average. It's not really what you'd expect for Mike Trout's doppelganger.
Yeah, he's, again, another one of these guys that just kind of ends up all over the place. Like since 2019, he's played for the Padres, Rays, Red Sox, Brewers, Angels, and the Reds. Like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I don't think it's a great thing. He's kind of been bouncing all over the place. Like maybe he would kind of get comfortable somewhere if he could settle in for a couple of years, couple of seasons. I don't see him really signing anything above maybe a 3-year deal.
3-year deal for who?
Bring him to Kansas City.
Bring him to Kansas City?
Actually, no, I don't think so. Maybe Colorado.
That'd probably be a good spot for him.
He'd probably 35 bombs.
He'd probably come in, hit a bunch of bombs.
Like maybe if he plays first base, I think he could be a good fit in Colorado because I don't think you can take Chris Bryant out. I don't think you could put him at third base because they have Ryan McMahon. Brenton Doyle just won the Gold Glove in center field, and Nolan Jones has been playing the outfield, I think. So maybe if he plays first base, he could.
First base DH. Colorado. That DH position now gives some of these guys a little more value, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a great move. I'm happy about that. I think everyone is, or at least 95% of people are happy about not seeing Mike Fultonevich hit in the 9th spot of your order.
There's part of me that kind of misses seeing some of the pitchers hitting because it's just like when they actually do well, it's fun to see. But
Max Fried won the last pitcher Silver Slugger in history.
Oh, who won the AL?
So yeah, no one, nobody.
Oh yeah, duh.
Joey Ohtani.
I'm an idiot. Or there was DH in the American League. You dummy.
Who's up next? Jack Flaherty.
Where's Jack Flaherty going to go?
Everywhere needs pitching.
How good is Jack Flaherty though? Is he a top 25 player? Is he better than Clayton Kershaw?
No, definitely not. I think his youth, him being 28 as a free agent, kind of gives him a little bit of upside. I mean, he has had good seasons, but it has been quite a bit of time since we have seen him like at his peak.
Jack Flaherty sounds like a San Diego Padres type of pitcher to me. I think he would be like, if you middle to bottom of the road, like 3 or 4 starter.
He's another guy I could see going to the Rays or the Dodgers, just like on a flyer, maybe take a 1-year deal, bet on himself, come away and test free agency again if he performs.
Yeah.
Maybe the Minnesota Twins could give him that kind of deal. I mean, like they did with Correa.
Then we got Candelario, switch hitting third baseman, coming off a pretty decent year. He sounds like a Dodger to me.
Would you like him on the Blue Jays? Would you like to see him play third base a little bit?
I've seen a lot of people mention him. I don't know how I would feel about him. I don't know how much of an upgrade he would be over Matt Chapman.
Definitely not a fielding upgrade for sure.
It's so tough. The Blue Jays are such a hard team for me to figure out because offensively they should be better with the players that they already have. But then after what happened last year, it's like, well, now we need more offense. I wouldn't be mad. Yeah. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be upset if the Jays signed him. I'd like the switch hitting aspect of it. I'm not seeing it happen. I feel like the Dodgers probably, like he's another guy that sounds like he would go to the Dodgers and go off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he could for sure. Could he be a Washington National?
Maybe. Is that where he came from last year? Because that's where
I think he definitely had some playing time there.
Yeah, he
last year,
like he upped his value playing for he signed 1 year there, did well, and then he got moved to the Cubs, who at the time were on their way to the playoffs.
Yeah, he had a pretty decent year in Washington. I could see him do it again. We've seen that kind of happen before. I mean, Chapman. It happened with Chapman and the Yankees, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they shipped him off and then re-signed him like right after he won the World Series.
Yep. I wonder what that like office meeting was like. Like, hey, we're going to ship you away for some prospects, but we're also going to sign you again.
Because that was when, they got Glaber out of that, right? That was when.
Yeah, they got Glaber and I forgot who else, but I don't know if they got anyone else like of importance. Who's next? Marcus Stroman at 21. Are you surprised to see him down this far, considering the type of year he had last year, especially in the first half before he got hurt?
If I look at the other names on here, it's like not too surprising.
I'm kind of surprised to see him below Whit Merrifield, if I'm being honest.
Oh, Whit Merrifield. I have a love-hate relationship with that guy after last year. Yeah, I don't know. Marcus Stroman, I feel like he's got a lot of potential. He had a couple of really solid seasons in the last few years. Where's he going to go?
I feel like so many teams need pitching. I don't think the Baltimore Orioles want to shell out money, but I kind of would be interested to see a pitcher go to the Orioles.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I
I
think
don't know
they
how much faith
should.
they have in like guys like Dean Kramer or Tyler Wells, but Marcus Stroman could be a solid rotation piece for a contender. And I
Yeah.
think Baltimore Orioles, they need pitching. Like, so he's the type of dude that could make a difference. And especially if he's kind of betting on himself, he's this low on the free agent list. Like, what is his deal going to look like? Is he going to maybe go for a shorter length of a contract and maybe bet on himself, maybe a 1-year deal somewhere, 2-year deal somewhere? It's kind of weird that he opted out of his final $21 million.
Yeah, I didn't really see that coming. I thought he was going to kind of just
Me neither.
stay there, stick it out for the one last year with the Cubs, but
He had a rough second half. Like, he had a sub-3 ERA over the first half, and he ended up with almost a 4 ERA over the whole season. So he kind of got roughed up a little bit. But I think the Orioles could be a solid landing spot. Maybe even the Reds, possibly.
I don't see the Cubs bringing him back.
I don't either. I think they would have extended him or worked on an extension if they were thinking about bringing him back. Because he was very vocal about it.
The Angels do feel like a team that would kind of pick up a guy like a Marcus Stroman.
They seem like a team that would overpay for Marcus Stroman the same way they overpaid with Anthony Rendon.
They'd give him, 5 years and $120 million or something dumb.
Yeah. Who was the Angels GM when they signed Rendon? It's so terrible. They were Garrett Cole's on the market, best pitcher, like coming off one of the best seasons, arguably should have been the Cy Young winner that year. Like, oh no, let me just go. Anthony Rendon made the All-Star team once, let me just give out $40 million a year to this guy.
I mean, he looked like
over
a stud Cole in the playoffs for the Nationals when they won, but
it didn't even make sense at the time. They needed pitching. I just don't get it. I'm like, I think I have a vendetta against Anthony Rendon now, just because like he had some interesting quotes to the media this past season. He just seemed like he didn't even want to be there. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be on the Angels either, but
you should. Like, you're in LA, you're playing with Mike Trout and Ohtani. Yeah. I mean, everything's going to be different this year.
Anyway, my bad for ranting right there, but I'll drop my mic. We'll get back on topic.
Get back to 2023 All-Star and Silver Slugger finalist Whit Merrifield.
You're kidding. He was a Silver Slugger finalist this year?
Yeah, for the utility position. I don't know how.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. That's a new thing this year, right?
Yeah.
Or was it last year as well?
Last year, maybe. I don't know how. Okay. Like, he had one good month, basically.
Silver Slugger finalist with an OPS plus of 94.
Yeah, below average.
What a year.
Below average hitter. Decent defender. He can steal some bases, but I don't know.
26 steals. I mean, it's not bad.
I had a really high hopes for him on the Jays this year, and he started off the season pretty well. Like, he took over that second base role, and then he just completely disappeared the last 3 months of the year.
It's crazy. So basically like Matt Chapman playing second base.
We'll get into Matt Chapman in a little bit.
That's true. He is yet to come.
The MLB.com has the Blue Jays listed as a potential fit. There is zero chance that he's going back to the Jays. I do not see that happening at all. Yeah, I mean, he's going to end up on some random team like the White Sox, I think. I just had them and Detroit Tigers depth chart pulled up. So I was like, who's playing second base for them? Zach McKinstry. I feel like Whit Merrifield could play second base for the Detroit Tigers. I don't know how much stock they have for McKinstry, but he had a pretty below average year. He's a lot older than I thought he was. But then again, like, if you're the Tigers, what is the point of giving Whit Merrifield a contract? It's going to be more money than they probably want to spend, since they've already spent money on Javi Baez and that contract. Javi Baez,
I don't know.
Picking up that contract was very smart of him. Getting
absolutely
another $100 million or slightly less out of it, but
yeah, just for showing up, which is basically what he's been doing, just being there in the moment. Who's playing second base for the Red Sox right now?
Urias? Didn't they trade for?
They did. That's a weird trade too. He had a rough season, really rough season. Maybe they give him a shot again, or maybe they have him Like, I don't know. I think I could see Whit Merrifield playing second base for the Red Sox for some reason.
I always come back to this team because it just seems like they always just sign guys and they do well there. But the Dodgers, I feel like all of a sudden Whit Merrifield would be decent. Play a year or two for the Dodgers, especially because I'm not sure what Gavin Lux's status is. But he would probably be playing shortstop when he came back. I know they're looking for a middle infielder. There's all these rumors that they're trying to target Bo Bichette to trade. I'm like, Blue Jays are not trading Bo Bichette.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be somewhere random. I don't think it's going to be a contender. It just doesn't really make much sense unless Whit Merrifield's down to do like a utility role and be like more of a bench player.
All right, then we'll get into this is a guy that I hadn't heard of. This Yariel Rodriguez, he's coming over from Cuba, it looks like, or played and then always in Cuba and then Japan for a few years. 1.15 ERA. Yeah. In 56 appearances.
27.5 strikeout rate. That's pretty good. It's a reliever. What if the Rangers picked him up? I know they need bullpen help, regardless of their status as World Series champs. But the bullpen was always the biggest question. What if they went out and
you can always get better
a little bit?
I think that'd be a great fit.
Absolutely. Maybe the Phillies actually. They need bullpen as well. I mean, like they've been kind of on the hook the last couple of years for having a rough bullpen.
Yeah, I feel like the Phillies are almost going to need starting pitching more now, especially with Aaron Nola sounding like he's not going to be coming back there.
They see the potential fits here as the Padres, Yankees, and White Sox.
White Sox sounds like a weird one to me. Padres, I could see.
I feel like the Yankees are more likely to go after Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yankees had like one of the best bullpens in the league last year too, so I don't think they're really. I mean, you can always upgrade at spots, but I don't think the bullpen is going to be the Yankees' focus this year in free agency.
Yeah, I don't really see the Padres in the mix for that either, since they're trying to shed payroll, which who would have saw that coming? With all the contracts they've been handing out like Halloween candy. Now they're kind of like backstepping a little bit, backpedaling. Like that's kind of a weird situation in itself. Like I don't see the Padres really doing much of anything.
It's hard because I feel like they're kind of the same boat a little bit as the Mets, where like, they had maybe a bad year financially, but it's also like it's a hard team if you're running that team, like you can't not try and contend. Like you got to shed some payroll, but you still ought to put a team out there that's going to have a good chance to, at least make the playoffs.
Yeah. Or maybe like if you're the Padres, that's the one thing you do focus on is the bullpen, because look at their 1-run games, their extra innings games. That's where they really struggled.
Yeah, we'll get into kind of an interesting starter here. Lucas Giolito, who he was kind of one of those names at the trade deadline that everybody wanted, and then he just was brutal to finish the season.
I was so happy when the Angels traded for him at first. I was so happy because I was like, yes, they are finally going for it. He just did not work out.
No, he was bad for them. He was bad for Cleveland.
Bad overall. He's been bad for a little bit. He's had that like one good year in 2021. And after that year is like, or he had a very good year in 2019, 2020 and 2021. So you could say two really good full seasons. 2020, just that shortened year, of course. But after 21, it was like he's finally living up to his hype. He's 26 in his mid-20s, like living up to his potential. And then just 2022 had a rough year, and 23 just had another ridiculously mid-year. Playing for 3 teams, I totally forgot about him playing in Cleveland as well.
If you're a Major League Baseball team and you're looking at this, like who wants to pick this guy up?
I mean, he's got upside for sure. He's still below 30 years old. They have the potential fit here as Cardinals, D-backs, Red Sox. I could kind of see him as a Cardinal. They seem like the type of team that could maybe just offer him a shorter deal. I don't think it's anything more than like a 2-year deal, if I'm being honest. I think he might want to just do a 1-year deal. If I'm Lucas Giolito and I believe in myself, I'm trying to sign somewhere 1 year and just prove it and then sign a bigger deal.
Yeah, I guess it's tough to tell. It all depends kind of who's coming after him and what you're offering. Because if you're Giolito and you're coming off that finish of the season, somebody offers you a 5-year contract, you're like,
yeah, 5-year deal. Like that's so risky. That is so risky for a team to offer him like a 5-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this year, where he's going to end up, Cardinals, Red Sox, those kind of make sense.
Yeah, I feel that like
somebody looking to fill out their rotation.
Maybe like a 5 starter or if it's a non-contender, just a dude who will try to eat up innings for a little bit, maybe get you something at the deadline if you play well. Kind of the next one up, Rhys Hoskins, if we're ready to move on from Giolito.
I'm ready.
Rhys Hoskins didn't play at all last year, tore his ACL. He's going to be 31. He's been a decent source of pop. Like, what kind of deal are we thinking Rhys Hoskins gets?
I see Rhys Hoskins. He's going to get probably a 1-year deal, see what he can do. Similar to like Conforto last year or Brandon Belt. It's so tough when you're coming off an ACL injury that kept you out for a whole year. The fact that the Phillies like don't even really sound like they want to even look at him. Obviously, with Bryce Harper not being able to really play the outfield much.
100%. They already have they have so many DH types on that team.
Yeah.
Like Nick Castellanos probably shouldn't be playing defense. Same thing with Kyle Schwarber. And yeah, there's just doesn't seem like there's a good spot for him for maybe what his value is at. Like he is definitely has that potential to hit 30 bombs. Probably more realistically, it's better to expect possibly 20 home runs for him this year if he plays a full season, just with, being conservative with how he's going to come back from his ACL injury.
Where's he going to go? Who wants to pick up a Rhys Hoskins? I wouldn't be mad if the Jays picked him up. If he came in and was our DH, like we need some, I'll take the upside on the power.
What about the NL champs, Arizona Diamondbacks?
Ooh, that's an interesting fit.
Maybe a DH situation there.
Who was DHing for them? Pavin Smith? Was he like DHing for them in the playoffs?
So. Maybe like a little platoon situation. I think Pavin Smith. I know they have a Jace. They don't really have a ton of depth.
No,
to be
especially
honest.
not for like
not a ton of depth.
I feel like the weird thing with Hoskins is that he's like basically is Christian Walker just with worse defense.
Yeah, just with a rough knee.
Which is kind of like, I guess,
than Christian Walker,
what you want from a DH.
Yeah, he doesn't have to play every day. He could play first base a little bit, maybe give Christian Walker a couple days off here and there just because he's a little bit older. Maybe platoon him with Pavin Smith. I don't know. Hide him in left field if he's able to get out there. I don't think you can rely on him to do that, but hey, it could be a possibility. Maybe even I think possibly Cleveland could go for him too. Is Josh Naylor going to play against lefties? Did he play? He played against lefties this year.
I think you're playing Josh Naylor every game. I don't see him.
Very good.
I think he's going to play against whoever. But again, like for a backup first baseman and more or less full-time DH, Rhys Hoskins fits in for a lot of teams. The next guy I find really interesting is Teoscar Hernandez. And this guy, obviously being a Jays fan, I'm always going to have a soft spot for Teoscar, but he had a really weird season. He started off the season really rough in 2023 for the Mariners and was like leading the league and striking out until like 3/4 of the way. I mean, that whole team just struck out so many times, but he finished pretty strong. He ended up with decent 26 homers, I think, which is not bad.
That's solid. That's not bad.
Not a great defensive outfielder, but again, I think it's kind of a fit for a lot of teams. I think he's a guy that's going to get a decent amount of interest. Again, another guy I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad if the Jays brought him back. Obviously, he has like chemistry with that team and stuff, but where do you think Teoscar ends up?
I think, I know the Guardians are not going to really spend money, but I know that lineup needs pop if they want to contend. And I feel like they're always in a spot where they're on the fringe of contending. And Teoscar could be a solid fit. They do need some pop. Like Will Brennan's not exactly a huge hitter out in the outfield. I know they have Miles Straw who can just track almost anything down. Same thing with who's their left fielder? It's just on the tip of my tongue.
Stephen Kwan.
Yes. He'd be a solid fit for those type of contact hitters like Stephen Kwan. They know what they're doing on the mound. I swear they have just a pipeline of starting pitchers that you never hear of, but they always end up doing pretty solid.
All right, we are into the top, according to MLB.com, the top 15 available free agents. Coming over from Japan, Shota Imanaga, left-handed pitcher, went 7-5 with a 2.66 ERA this year. And
pretty decent. Honestly, decent. Haven't heard of this guy.
This guy just screams Dodgers to me. I don't know what it is. Like,
I can see it. I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of guys coming over from Japan who like to play for the West Coast teams as well. Dodgers do make a lot of sense. They do need starting pitching depth, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Julio Urias after everything, and like Walker Buehler is going to be coming back after, his
Same
injury.
with Dustin May.
Like, they have guys there, but I feel like there's a lot of question marks too. You got
Tons of
Bobby Miller.
Marks. If you're the Dodgers, you can't assume that any of these guys are going to come back and be their full strength self. Like right now, they have basically Bobby Miller as the number one, unless they bring Kershaw back. And then again, he's older. Is he going to be like the same Kershaw that we saw last year?
And coming off
a question mark.
Shoulder surgery.
Exactly. Shoulder surgery is not cool, not good. I totally forgot about that until you said so. Like he's not going to be ready opening day, is he?
I don't know. Yeah, but this Imanaga, Dodgers. I feel like the Dodgers is the fit. I mean, again, I think he'll have a lot of teams coming after him. After Yamamoto, like he'll be kind of the second, I think, big pitcher that people are really looking for.
100%. I think that's a very likely destination for him. Who's next? Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Could you see him back with the D-backs?
I don't know. Whatever happened with Jake McCarthy? Is Jake McCarthy, was he injured? Because
I guess he was. Or I guess he has been. I'm not 100% sure on that, if I'm being honest. He didn't have a very good year in his playing time. He had less than 300 ABs. Not a fantastic year.
I guess Gurriel fit pretty well there. I don't see him going back to the Diamondbacks.
I could see him as a Brave.
Potential fit as the Braves. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he's like another guy
for him, but
another guy I have a love-hate relationship with, because he had some really big moments for the Jays. I mean, he had some big moments last year too. He has generally one month where he's like the best hitter on your team, and then he just kind of is like a mediocre the rest of the year. Yeah.
Anytime he plays a full season, you're almost guaranteed to get like around a 750 to 775 OPS, which is very, very valuable.
Yeah, I could see him for, maybe a team like the Astros. Obviously, like his brother played there for a long time. He maybe take Yordan out of the outfield.
That would be very valuable. Taking Yordan out of the outfield in itself is a W, because you want him playing every day. You want him getting 4 ABs to 5 ABs every single day.
All right. And Gurriel's not like an amazing fielder, but he's not awful. And if you're playing in Houston half the year, you got less ground to cover and stuff. So I think he'd fit really well on the Astros.
That makes a lot of sense. Take over the ABs that Jake Myers is getting in the outfield. Have Chas McCormick play center field, because he's been doing that he's played center field before, and then just have Lourdes left. That would make sense for the Astros. Next one is Jung-Ho Lee. I don't know how to pronounce it. I hope I got it right. He was a 2022 MVP of the KBO.
I mean, that's a pretty good sign.
That is a very good sign. Number 13 on the list for a reason. He's only 25 years old.
He's played 7 seasons. He's only 25. Career 340 average.
That's a ridiculous average for 7 years, starting at 18 years old. Like, I don't care what league it is. That's impressive. Like, they need to be active on the market too. If they spend some money, I think this might be a dude who they could go after. I mean, they need to get a little bit younger, and he is 25 years old. They're an old team. You're losing Harrison Bader, which is maybe not a bad thing.
If they don't get Bellinger, then this is kind of a good second option. I think they're going to put a lot of chips into Cody Bellinger. So when we get into him,
they should.
We can just talk about him right now. I think the best fit, and I think a team that should 100% go after him, Cody Bellinger, is the Yankees.
They need to make him their number one priority.
Another player I would love the Blue Jays to go after, and I know we went after him last year. Before he went to, it sounded like we almost had him, and then I don't know, he got a much better deal with the Cubs. So,
do you know what the Jays offered?
There was rumors that it was like in between 10 and 15, I think, for 2 years. It was like 2 years.
That's not bad.
13 million-ish, but then he ended up getting like 17, I think, for 1 year with the Cubs.
That's a wild risk from the Cubs right there after the type of
how
year
much was it?
the last 2 years Belly had before this year.
Yeah, 17 and a half 1-year contract. So
that's a wild year. Like that's a high risk, high reward, I guess.
Worked out
because it worked out very well for both parties.
Yeah,
you know, I really would have loved to see the Cubs trade him at the deadline just to see what kind of package they could get for him. Same thing with Stroman. I mean, I think they made the right call at the time. Like they were on the cusp of making the playoffs, but it just didn't work out. They went 7-14, I think, in their last 20-some games.
Yeah, they blew it down the stretch. Like they should have had it locked up.
Yeah, you just cannot be 14 games under 500 in your last 21 games. Or seven games under 500. That's my bad. 7-14. That's wild. You just can't do that.
Top 12. I mean, I guess 11 since we talked about Bellinger, but Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez, so opted out of his final year with the Tigers. Obviously, lots of people looking for pitching. Left-handed starter, always very valuable, especially one as good as him. So who's shelling out the money for Erod?
That was an interesting case too. Didn't he invoke his no trade clause just because he said he wanted to stay in Detroit because his family was there or something like that, and now that the season's over, he said that location doesn't matter to him.
I mean, I can see it being like, when it's mid-season, you probably have a pretty good idea what you're going to do at the end of the year anyway, unless you're going to go to and win the World Series. Like it's kind of, it makes sense to me, I guess. Like, you don't want to leave mid-season, but obviously lots of teams looking for pitching. Erod,
he could help a lot of guys out. He was a lot better than I would have thought he was. He's been good for quite some time.
I could almost see him going back to Boston and going back to the Red Sox. I feel like that makes sense.
He's comfortable there. He knows them. Like he's had some solid years. He's been very consistent. Like if you look at his baseball reference page, his FIP has been like very, very similar for ever since his career. The highest it's ever been is 4.43, and the lowest it's ever been is 3.32. So almost like it's been in a 1-run range basically when it comes to his FIP. I bet the Phillies kind of target him.
That's a good one.
I think I'm gonna call it right now. The Phillies are going to sign Eduardo Rodriguez.
You heard it here.
Phillies are signing Eduardo Rodriguez. I can't even say it. Okay.
And then we have Jorge Soler. Power. Everybody wants power. We're living in the times of you want to hit the ball over the fence. Nobody cares how much you strike out. If you're hitting 35 plus home runs, I think he's going to have a lot of suitors.
I see the potential fits here. One of them being the Orioles, which doesn't make sense to me. Do you think he could go back to the Cubs, a little Cubs reunion there?
They could use him. I think that'd be a good spot for him. Would you sacrifice his defense to get him back in Atlanta?
I would not.
No.
I personally would not. I love Jorge Soler. I really do. But like the Braves' problem is not the offensive side of things.
That is true.
It is they need some pitching. What about the Mariners?
Ooh. The Mariners again, they just don't seem to
I don't know why they don't want to spend money either. They're on the cusp of being very good. I love their rotation.
He would fit there well.
I love their rotation.
They could use the bat.
They got Dylan Moore slated in left field and Dominic Canzone slated at the DH role right now. Who are just they're not Jorge Soler. Yeah, I wish the Mariners would spend money. I don't think they're gonna pay for him. What team do you think? Like final verdict.
I think the Cubs. Chicago Cubs, Jorge Soler. Okay. He's coming back.
Okay.
He's gonna hit some bombs over the ivy.
I would like that. I would like to see that a lot. Two Braves legends, Dansby Swanson and Jorge Soler back together.
Now we're into the top 10 with the greatest hitter in the world for April of 2023 and the worst hitter in the world for the rest of the season. Matt.
He was so good.
Matt Chapman.
He was so good. Jeez, man. I mean, defense, and occasionally a little bit of offense for about a month. Where does Matt Chapman land?
Matt Chapman was like offensively solid for a few years with Oakland. And he's like another one of those guys that has like, he's really streaky. He'll have a really, really good month or two in the season. The other months, he's just not good. Or at least for the Blue Jays, that's how it went. There's this part of me that just feels like he's going to end up back on the Blue Jays for a few more years.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know. It depends who else ends up on our team. For me, if he, I love watching him play third base. If 8-9 is Matt Chapman, Dalton Varsho, I can live with that. I know a lot of people are saying Giants is a really good fit for Matt Chapman.
I think the Giants could be a solid suitor. I really do. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Who they got at third base right now? JD Davis, Brandon Crawford is retiring.
I think JD Davis is a free agent now too.
Oh, is he really? Wow. I think the Giants do make a lot of sense there. Yeah, I'm going to say Giants.
Giants.
He just looks solid in a Giants uniform.
Yeah, he also feels like somebody that could just end up on another AL East team and just burn us, like the Red Sox or
that's true,
or even the Yankees. Yeah, I mean the defense alone like gives them a ton of value. So
100%. 100%. JD Martinez. He is number 9. I was not expecting him to be number 9 on this list.
Man, he was really solid this year.
He really had a good year. I'm very surprised. But the problem is he doesn't really play anywhere besides DH.
JD Martinez is a guy I could literally see play almost for any team.
I could as well.
It's really hard. He's got his value, obviously, offensively. Every team's like always going to be looking for a DH. Again, another team like the Cubs or the Reds or something like that.
I could definitely see him as a Red.
I'm going Reds. JD Martinez, Cincinnati Reds.
I want to be different. Let me see. I might just throw a dart at the wall, just see if something sticks. I don't think he'll be a White Sox. No.
Oakland, maybe.
I wish. What about the Twins?
That could be interesting.
They got a lot of guys who are like pretty solid. So I don't know where he would fit on that club.
I don't think he really fits that
Kepler
team right now.
Had a good year. He doesn't. I don't think he does. I don't know where he would play.
Yeah, he's got to be a DH. I mean, he's going to be like 37 this year.
You know what? JD Martinez, get your eye patch. You going to Pittsburgh. It's time for the Pittsburgh Pirates to start to contend. They got a bunch of up-and-comers. You go throw JD Martinez in the DH, throw him in the number 4 spot of the order. He's going to give you 30 bombs. He's going to take some pressure off of the younger dudes to perform. And, I could see it. Give him a 3-year deal. Why not?
There you go.
2-year deal maybe, actually. Pittsburgh Pirates. That's the first time I think we've mentioned the Pirates today. So that's like how...
I'm just going to pick them for every free agent remaining. Jordan Montgomery is next on the list. Pittsburgh Pirates. Jordan Montgomery.
Pittsburgh Pirates. All right. Oh, man. Where else could he go?
I think he's going to go back to Texas. I think he's going to stay there. He was really solid for them. Fit in
He
well.
had a great year there.
They won the World Series and he was awesome. Why not bring Jordan Montgomery back?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why not.
Scherzer have another year in his contract.
He does.
So I mean, you got DeGrom, Scherzer, Evaldi, Jordan Montgomery.
I think John Gray's still there.
Yeah, who else? Dane Dunning was like kind of starting some games for them.
I'm going to say the Cubs, honestly, for Jordan Montgomery. He kind of fits in with the type of pitchers that they have. Actually, I'm not sure that's exactly what you want. You want a little bit of variety as far as arms go.
5 of the exact same pitcher.
You pretty much like they need a little bit of starting pitcher, except for especially if they're losing Marcus Stroman. And I think he's better than Marcus Stroman as of right now. They got a couple guys at the back end of the rotation that kind of have question marks, like Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks. Kyle Hendricks is getting older, so maybe Jordan Montgomery could be a good fit with the Chicago Cubs.
Chicago Cubs. All right. Sonny Gray coming off like a career year where he's going to probably finish 3rd in the Cy Young.
I think so.
I think
he'll finish 3rd.
He had a very good year. I mean, again, lots of teams looking for pitching. Their number one potential fit they have is your Atlanta Braves. How would you feel if Sonny Gray was an Atlanta Brave?
I'd feel pretty good about it. Unless it was like a long deal. I'd rather have it be a little bit high on the AAV. I don't want more than like a 4-year deal for Sonny Gray. I mean, he's been great.
All you know is that Alex Anthopoulos is going to, he doesn't seem to sign bad deals, really. Like, what's the last bad?
He doesn't.
What's the last bad deal he signed for you guys?
I don't know.
So if they sign a guy like Sonny Gray, it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a smart deal. Like he'll get,
Probably
2 years with a third option for $12 million a year.
An opt-out. I think,
even though he's worth more than that.
Make it happen.
That's what he'll get if he signs with the Braves.
I mean, he extended Charlie Morton, gave him a 1 year, $20 million deal, like at the beginning of last year or something. And people were like, my God, that's a lot of money to spend on a starting pitcher who's this old. But then you look around at the market, you're just like, Charlie Morton has been a pretty solid arm regardless of his age. And if Sonny Gray got like a 3-year deal worth $25 million a year and he ages as well as he's been doing very, very well the past couple of years. Last year he did well. This year he did well. You know what? I think he will be a Brave, to be honest. I know they're making a run at, I think they're making a run at Nola. I would rather have Aaron Nola, but I think Sonny Gray will cost less years. And I'd honestly rather have that. So I think he's a Brave. He is an Atlanta Brave.
I'm feeling this might be a little bit of a weird one. I'm going Sonny Gray to the defending National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks.
Really?
I think throw him in there to kind of help out that rotation a little bit. You got some decent starters at the top. You got a taste of it. I think having another really good starter on that team could have potentially, who knows? It would have made them better.
Definitely would have made them worse. They do need some more pitching, like as evidenced by their bullpen game in the World Series.
World Series bullpen games, it just sounds so weird. You always have guys step up. Brandon Pfaadt did amazing. But, if you had him in there with Kelly and Gallen, that's a really solid rotation.
Yeah, at the very least, he's very reliable.
Yeah.
Like the ceiling may not be as high, but the floor is a lot higher, I feel like.
He's giving me like Zach Greinke vibes. Like he's going to be just around for, a few more years and like pitch solidly for like a semi-contending team and maybe, end up on a playoff run team. Like, obviously the Twins made the playoffs and he was really good, but I feel like that's how the rest of Sonny Gray's career is going to play out.
He's been in the league since 2013. He's only had 2 bad years.
So I'm going to bring up somebody who's not even on this list, who actually a former teammate of Sonny Gray, and that is Trevor Bauer. Do we want to talk about this guy? Is he coming back to the league?
He's very polarizing for sure.
We don't have to get into him as a person.
Okay.
Everybody has different opinions on that. I feel like he's going to end up back in the MLB this year.
I think it's a very big possibility. Where does he go?
I don't think it'll be like a top team. I could see a team like the Cardinals kind of like, take maybe a little bit of a flyer on him, see if he, how he does. If he performs, if he, fits well in the clubhouse. That's the kind of team I would see, like the Cardinals or the Giants. Those would probably be like my top 2, I think, landing spots if he ends up back in the league this year.
I think he ends up, someone brought this up yesterday to me, that maybe he signs with the Royals. And I was like, I don't know about that. But then I was like, well, if he does sign just like a 1-year deal, they do the same thing that they did with Chapman last year. They flip him at the deadline, get a solid prospect haul, call it a day. I think that would make some sense.
There you go.
You are a Kansas City Royal until July.
All right, on to the
top 6.
Reliever, closer, Josh Hader.
They have the first potential fit on here is the Angels. I'm just like, why?
The Angels.
Why? That makes zero sense. The bullpen is the last thing you worry about. It's the last thing you work on. I feel like when if you're about to contend, you got to get your rotation set first. You got to work on the main pieces of your lineup. So I don't think he fits with the Angels. The Phillies kind of make sense. The Rangers do make sense because those are 2 good teams that are contending. Basically, the Phillies made the NLCS, the Rangers World Series champions. So maybe it is the Phillies. They're losing Craig Kimbrell, which he's past his prime, obviously, but Hader's kind of in his prime still. That could be a great addition.
You should get some solid years. I think Texas is going to grab them. I think they're going to shell out whatever they need to shell out. They won the World Series. They're like, you know what? We're going to keep our foot on the gas. We're going to go sign Josh Hader. He can take over, move Leclerc back to the setup man. He can come close out games because obviously, like, they're not bringing back Aroldis Chapman.
No.
They have the money, and I think they're going to go for it. Josh Hader.
You are a Texas Ranger.
Top 5.
Top 5. Jinx. LOL, Mr. Aaron Nola. Kind of a down year in a lot of people's eyes, and rightfully so, I feel like.
He looked really good in the playoffs.
He looked amazing in the playoffs, and I think he had a really good September. He did have over 200 strikeouts. His whip is looking good, 115.
I don't see why the Phillies wouldn't try and bring him back.
I agree. I think the Phillies will make a run at it. I think the Braves are showing interest. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to want too much money for something that Alex Anthopoulos would give out comfortably. Like, he's not going to give out a 6-year, $30 million a year deal to Aaron Nola. He's just not going to do that. And I think that's something the Phillies could do, or maybe even a little bit less if they give him a little, maybe like a 7th year possibly. It's weird picturing him in another uniform.
It is weird. I think a team that should try and get a guy like that, it would be Baltimore. This guy seems like a perfect guy to come in, just be, the centerpiece of your rotation for the next 5 years, help all the younger guys out and go from there. Like Baltimore, you got to sign somebody. You won the division, keep going for it. Aaron Nola.
I agree.
Baltimore Orioles.
It'd be hard to argue that he wouldn't be the ace of that club immediately.
Yeah, they're such an intriguing team right now. I hate it. I just want them to be bad again. I miss the days when the Orioles were awful. But it was nice seeing the Yankees be just the worst team in our division. Or, well,
that's wild.
The second worst, crazy. I guess.
Cashman's not doing them any favors either right now. Bellinger, we already talked about him.
Belly bombs, New York Yankees. If the Yankees don't sign Cody Bellinger, they're making a mistake.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip flop on you. I already said Jung Ho Lee is going to be a Yankee. I'm going to say Cody Bellinger is going to be a Blue Jay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to get your hopes up. He is a Blue Jay.
That would be my only thing is I wonder, like, I kind of want Dalton Varsho to play center field every day. So I'm like, does Cody want Bellinger care about playing left field, or would he still want to play center?
I feel like he's not going to care.
Actually, I feel like Varsho wouldn't care either. But
yeah,
Varsho screwed himself out of winning an award this year, or the Blue Jays screwed him out by having him play too much in 2 different positions. But
that shouldn't matter. They should not have Gold Glove be specific to like center field, left field, right field. They should just have outfield Gold Gloves, in my opinion.
Well, we'll talk about
3
that.
outfield spots.
We'll talk about that
next time. For sure. But you got a taste of it right now.
Yeah, a taste of it. Little preview. We might be talking about some MLB awards next time. Cody Bellinger, yes. Blue Jays, Yankees. Either of them make sense. Both of those make sense.
They do.
All right, now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Blake Snell coming off what's probably going to be a Cy Young Award winning season. The dude was
crazy, insane
this year.
He was struggling too. I can't believe he was 1-6 with a 5.4 ERA on May 19th.
And then he just stopped allowing runs, basically.
Fire. He said, enough is enough. I want to win my second Cy Young, and he did just that. Who is going to pay him? I don't think the Padres bring him back. I don't think he's going to play for the Rays because they don't give out that type of contract.
Team like I was just like looking. I was like laughed when I saw the Angels. I'm like, that would just be a move that they make. That would just be dumb.
It's such a dumb move if they do that. It's hard to call a move by bringing in a Cy Young Award winner dumb, but they make it dumb.
I'm going to go San Francisco Giants. I think like the Giants have been trying to land big guys every year. They've been so close, like the whole Arson Judge, Carlos Correa stuff from the last couple of years. I think he's going to get paid. I think he's going to stay down in California. And I think he's going to be a San Francisco Giant.
I'm almost terrified of signing Blake Snell just because he's so hot and cold with his years. I mean, he's going to win Cy Young this year. He won Cy Young in 2018. But he has only been an all-star one time in his Cy Young Award, and that was his Cy Young winning season. I mean, all-star is not like something you really care about, but still, it's just like if I'm going to throw the bag at someone, I want someone he's going to be, 31 next year. I want someone who's been a little bit more consistent. I don't think he's not even been in the Cy Young race any other year besides his 2 Cy Young winning years.
I don't know. I think you live in the now. You look at what he's done. This kind of brings me back to a guy like Kevin Gausman, who you look at, the first like almost 8 years of his career was like, meh, basically. And then he went to the Giants. Kevin Gausman never even sniffed an All-Star game until 2021. And now
That's true.
Only like a year-ish older, year or two older than Snell. And yeah, I think Snell's going to get paid off of what he did this year.
I do too. The walks scare me. I'm just saying the walks scare me.
I'm sticking with the Giants.
Okay. Let me see here. Let me put my prediction hat on. I have a Blue Jays hat on right now, so that will be my prediction hat. I have my answer. Blake Snell, you are a Los Angeles Dodger.
Woo.
You are a Los Angeles Dodger. I just think their payroll is like
Unlimited?
Can fit it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically unlimited. They can fit anything. Blake Snell is a Dodger. Yeah, that's what I got to say. I think he signs with them.
Top two, arguably the two best current Japanese baseball players. Yoshinobu Yamamoto coming over from Japan. It's going to probably get an insane contract. Triple Crown in each of the past 3 years.
That's absolutely wild. Do you think the Blue Jays have a realistic shot? They don't need to. I don't think their rotation's set, but do you think he's even on their radar?
I think everybody's on the Blue Jays radar, to be honest. People like kind of discredit Ross Atkins and they say he doesn't do anything, but he makes moves. He signs guys. Like if you look at the last 5 years, we brought in Hyun-Jin Ryu, George Springer, Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett. We traded for Matt Chapman, Whit Merrifield.
There's some important moves.
They make a lot of moves. And so I think they definitely check in on a lot of guys and are kind of in the mix. It would be amazing. If we added him to our rotation, Kikuchi's still kind of a question mark, even though he was solid last year. Obviously, we don't know what's really going to go on with that 5th spot with Manoah. Yeah, it's kind of between Manoah or a couple guys maybe coming up. So, I mean, a guy like Yamamoto, you instantly can plug him in. Do I think he's going to end up on the Blue Jays? No. Would I love? I think it would be amazing if he did, but I think he's going to be a New York Met. I think the Mets is a perfect fit. They got the money.
They do. They definitely opened up some payroll by trading away Scherzer and Verlander for sure.
You get him as the 1-2 with Senga. I think it makes sense. A lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense for him to go to the Mets. However, I want to be different again. So I do see the Red Sox as a potential fit and, link up with Masataka Yoshida. I don't know how friendly they are, but, I think it does kind of make sense. They need some pitching help. I think he would fit well with them. The Red Sox just got rid of Chaim Bloom, so they have a new GM, and what better way to make a splash in Boston than making a very, very high acquisition of a pitcher? I think it could make sense.
That's a good pick. I could see that happening too.
Yeah. Where do we realistically think Shohei Ohtani is going to go? How many teams are really going to be in the running to get him?
When it comes down to it, oh man, I don't know, 5 or 6. Realistically, I think the Dodgers, the Giants, sounds like the Mariners. I do think the Blue Jays will be one of the final teams. The Cubs, it sounds like, are going to make a big push.
That's such a weird team for him to be at, I think. I just don't think the Cubs make much sense just because of where they're located geographically. I know he wants to play in a West Coast team where he's verbalized that at least several times, to my knowledge. And I think if he doesn't sign with a West Coast team, I think he'd at least want to be somewhere close to the East Coast if it's not a West Coast team.
I don't really feel like the Cubs are good enough for him to want to go there right now.
I don't think so either. I don't really see them. If you were to ask me who's going to win the Central next year, I think it's up for grabs. I don't think that anyone's particularly in it. I don't necessarily feel like anyone's particularly out of it either. I think the NL Central is one of those divisions where anything could happen. I think it's hilarious that the Angels are on here as a potential fit. I just don't see that happening. Plus, how it would be such a boring offseason for everyone if that happened. We all want to see chaos. We all want to see something different. And it's just him going back to the Angels is just boring.
I really don't see that happening. I mean, I feel like they would have figured something out by now, or he would have, even behind closed doors, he would have been like, all right, let's do it. We'll figure something out at the end of the year, this or that, with all the talk there was about them potentially trading him. And then it came kind of down to 3 or 4 days before the deadline when they finally came out and said, no, we're not going to do it. And they made a push and that completely backfired. And Obviously, hindsight being 2020, they should have traded him because
2020.
They could have, just loaded up even for, a third of a season of Ohtani last year. Even as a DH, I think there would have been teams that would have been very, very interested in making that move.
I do think, I saw on Twitter, and I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, that Shohei Ohtani was intrigued by playing for the Braves. And I'm trying not to get my hopes up, and I'm trying to keep it being realistic. But realistically, I know, like we all say, Alex Anthopoulos, he doesn't make these types of signings, right? He usually makes team-friendly deals, short-term signings that we've seen. But maybe this is why you do all those short-term, like team-friendly deals, so you can save a little bit of room, save a little bit of money, so you can go after the dude like Shohei Ohtani, the generational talent who's a free agent. Maybe that is when you go outside of your comfort zone and you actually make a deal like that. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but like it does kind of make a little bit of sense. They have everyone on a team-friendly deal. They're going to have a lot of money. Just by signing Ohtani, you're going to be able to get a lot of that money back just on merchandise sales. And like they already sell out every home game basically. So there's not really you don't really increase ticket sales if you're already doing that. But I think it's a possibility, a small possibility, but still a possibility.
I'd rather see him go there than the Dodgers. I mean, like,
same.
I get the Dodgers. Like, obviously the Dodgers are, it just makes the most sense. West Coast. He's stays in LA. They have the money, obviously. They have the need for him. But I just I don't know if it's, again, like you said, wanting chaos or that part of it, but I just don't want to see him just be like, everybody be, oh yeah, he's going to go to the Dodgers, blah, 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 blah. And then he does. Like, I think it's just
that's true.
It's almost as boring as the Angels. I mean, it's exciting for Dodgers fans, and like it's cool to going to be cool to see him on a different team no matter where he goes, but
same city.
And it's like it's too obvious. It's not fun and exciting.
Agreed. Like, what if he went somewhere like the White Sox? How would that be better or like more chaotic for all of us? And like, would we be happier if he went to the White Sox? I think I would be happier just because like I don't have to deal with him in going like through the playoffs because my favorite team's a National League team.
Yeah, that's tough to say. I mean, I think I'd be happy and excited for the rest of free agency, but I don't want to watch Shohei Ohtani try and drag in like a 65 win team to maybe be a 500 team. I want him to go somewhere that there's a legitimate shot that he's going to at least be in the playoffs. Like, he hasn't played one playoff game yet.
I want to see Shohei in the playoffs every single year.
Yeah, who doesn't? It would be so good for the sport.
It'd be amazing for the sport. Imagine the Angels trade Mike Trout and we get a similar ending situation to what we saw in the World Baseball Classic. Shohei Ohtani on the mound in the 9th, Game 7, Mike Trout at the plate, 2 outs, go ahead run at the plate in Mike Trout.
That'd be
exciting.
The Angels.
That'd be crazy.
The Angels are going to have to do a lot, or Mike Trout's going to have to end up on a really good team.
Yeah, seriously. Like, everyone's going to have to play above what they're expected for the Angels. Is Rendon even going to be back? Is he even going to play at all? Right now, over under 75 games for Rendon.
I think over. I think he'll play most of the year next year. I
hope so, man.
I think he will.
He aged so fast because we never saw him. Like, he was 29 and all of a sudden he's 33. Who would have thought? You hear about Shohei Ohtani if you're an Angels fan. You already have Mike Trout. You finally land Shohei Ohtani. And imagine someone coming back from the future to tell you, yeah, you get 6 years of these two on the same team, but you'll never see them in the playoffs.
Not even come close. I don't think they've even been within like 5 games at the end of the year of a wild card spot.
This was the first year I think they were even in a position where they thought they at least needed to have a deadline. I think just to show Shohei Ohtani that they were serious about winning.
It would have been exciting, but I just had the feeling too. I'm like, as soon as they started making all those moves and trades, I'm just like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. And then 2 weeks later, all the guys are put on waivers. Mike Trout comes back crazy for 1 game, and then was done for the rest of the year, and then Ohtani has to get surgery, and it's just like, all right, everything just fell apart. Like,
like that's so bad. I'm kind of unhappy. I'm happy that they went for it, but I'm also unhappy that they didn't trade Shohei, just because I was curious to see what kind of package he would bring back. Like, I was very curious to see. I think it was going to be less than what we all thought too. I think it was going to be a little bit less.
Like, how much less compared to what the Padres gave up for Soto? Like, I know you got like potentially over 2 years of Soto, but it's like, it's Ohtani. Like, he's the number one.
Yeah, I feel like maybe one less top dude.
Yeah,
would have got it. How many top guys did they send over in that trade?
Like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
they got they got C.J. Abrams and Mackenzie Gore were like 2 of the really top guys.
Yeah, James Wood, I think, as well.
Yeah,
maybe Robert Hassel, I think.
That sounds right, man.
So I think maybe just 2 top guys. You're paying like basically one top prospect for each month, and maybe like a major league ready dude. I think people would have been underwhelmed with. They would have been like, "That's it for Shohei." I have a strong feeling.
Could you have imagined though, like if a team like, let's say, like the Phillies would have got Ohtani at the deadline to DH for them. I mean, they didn't really need him. He didn't really fit their lineup. But I mean, anybody, like if he was really on the market, a lot of teams would have tried to get him. I think, especially contending teams.
I think so too. I think you're right. I think it would have been crazy to see his haul if they traded him last year, which I think would have been a smart move. Just if the Angels were serious about rebuilding or something, they should have traded him last year. It's almost a lose-lose situation if you're the Angels, though. It's like you don't trade him, and you're just like, how could you not trade him? Like, you have to get something back for him. But then if you're the guy who trades him, you're like, how could you trade a guy like Shohei Ohtani? He's once in a lifetime talent right there. Like, it's a double-edged sword.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, what do you think kind of contract is he going to get now? With his only being able to hit at least 1 year, if not, maybe a little bit more, even not pitching. Like his contract, I mean, I think, I think talked before, but is well on his way to the first ever $600 million contract.
Yeah.
And now where do you think it's Glenn's?
I think back before the UCL injury, it was on track to be an easy, just like straightforward 10 years, 12 years, 600 mil. Now I think he's going to have just like kind of a crazy contract if it's on the longer side of thing, with a bunch of pitching incentives, possibly. Like, you pitch 150 innings every season, you pitch 150 innings, it's like 15 mil or something crazy like that. Maybe not that exactly, but it could be something similar.
He like wins a Cy Young, or X amount of Cy Youngs or MVPs. Stuff like that, where you can maybe have it be like in the 425, 450 starting range, and boost up to like 700. Like, you could,
for real, you're gonna get his bat for 100%. I think the baseline is, what do you value in his bat? I know he doesn't play the field, so I don't think you can have that same kind of contract just for his bat that you saw Aaron Judge get, like 40 mil a year, because he plays the field too. So I don't know. I think maybe 30 mil a year just for his bat, maybe, and then incentives for pitching, possibly.
I think he's going to still get at least 40 million a year, even for the years he DHs. It's just, I think there's just too much. His ceiling's too high, and even if he just hits, like even this year, he was on pace to basically match Judge's production from last year.
He really was like. For a sec there, I thought he was going to hit 60. I thought he was going to hit 60 home runs.
He still finished with, I think, 44 home runs.
44 home runs. I think he was one of the only ones who ended up OPSing over 1,000.
Like, that arguably, he's the best hitter in the league. Like,
Baseball Reference, he had a 10-WAR season. A 10-WAR season. Okay, this might be an interesting question. This probably doesn't. I mean, this is its own separate conversation, kind of. Let's. Who ends up with more career wins above replacement? Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout?
Ooh.
They're nowhere close right now. Yeah, but
Trout's
like career projection,
way ahead, right?
Way ahead.
85 to 30 something.
Yep. He's about 50 behind.
Trout's, how old's Ohtani right now? 29. So Trout's what, 3 years older than him?
3 years older than him. I think he just turned 32.
That's so hard to say. I mean, I feel like it'll be close, and I feel like Ohtani would, just because if he ends up having, even 5, let's say 5 more solid pitching years in his career, he could even be a little bit worse at the plate.
Yeah, he could. And I think a lot of it depends on how much more does Mike Trout have in the tank. We talk about him like he's 37. He's only 32. Or I talk about him like he's 37, but he's only 32.
I think when all is said and done, I'm going to say Shohei. Shohei, not by much, but slightly edges him in career WAR.
I think you might be right, and I think it's going to be really, really close.
We'll have to come back to this in 10 years and check.
We will. I can't wait. I cannot wait to come back to this conversation.
Remember episode 2? Because we'll still be doing this, obviously, 10 years from now.
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. That is just...
We can become the official Blue Jays and Braves joint podcast or something.
I'm so down for that. Absolutely. Not even a conversation, dude.
So when all is said and done, who signs Shohei Ohtani? Give me what do you think is the most likely? And then just what do you think would be, I don't know, what your heart wants the most? I mean, if it's the Braves, it's the Braves, that's fine. But just those kind of two.
My heart wants the Braves for sure. But he's going to be a San Francisco Giant.
San Francisco Giant. Hey, obviously my heart wants the Blue Jays. And I really do think it's there. If there's one thing I've learned from the last few off seasons, it's that the Blue Jays are going to try stuff. And then I'm going to see a tweet that's like, after he signs somewhere, be like, the Blue Jays were that mystery team that was so close to getting it.
Always a mystery team.
It happened with Corey Seager. There was so much talk about us getting Freddie Freeman. But yeah, I'm going to say, the heart says the Blue Jays. That in my head, I think I've got to just go there. But I think he's going to be a Dodger. It just seems like.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but I'm just playing it. I'm taking a safe bet. If I'm betting money, I would bet on the Dodgers. We'll see. I just can't wait. I can't wait until it happens. We might have to do an emergency pod when he signs somewhere.
You better not sign on Thanksgiving because I won't be here.
Yeah, and then just watching the dominoes fall after that. It's exciting time to be a baseball fan. There's going to be, it might not be the world's greatest free agent class, but you also have the number 1 player in the world who's a free agent right now. So that just alone makes it exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is kind of a more exciting free agency, even above last year, I think, even with all the shortstops and everything.
Yeah, and you just kind of knew Judge was just going to go back to the Yankees.
Yeah, that is boring.
You had a day of excitement when it's he's not? Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later, it's psych, Yankee for life.
Yeah, for real, with the whole Arson Judge thing, and then the Correa just
that almost
failing his physical twice.
That almost killed it for me though, the Correa stuff. It was just kind of what? Again? Boring.
Yeah, first time was crazy, but then this the second time
it is.
And I wonder how Giants fans and Mets fans feel now with the type of season Correa had.
Yeah, I know. You must be whew.
Yeah, now at first I was I cannot believe the Mets did it. Why did it have to be the Mets? And now I'm just I wish the Mets did it. I wish the Mets did it.
Wow, they were so bad this year anyway. So
they were. I mean, he's still only 29. He has plenty of time to turn it around. So that's going to wrap things up for us at The Dish. You can find us on all these platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all be in the description of this, wherever you're finding us. Hopefully you're watching and listening on YouTube, because if you're not watching as well as listening, you're missing out. But anyway, yes, appreciate you all listening. And we'll catch you next time, probably a week from now. We're going to go over the awards. So we're going to go over who deserved it, who got snubbed. And we'll chat next time.
There's been some interesting votes that I've seen. Some interesting votes.
Very interesting. There's one Cy Young vote in particular that we will get into next week.
All right, everybody. Peace.
All right. Later.